for today's fixture are for Heidelberg United Football Club. 21, Mia Bailey. 4, Cameron Barrero. 16, Molly Burke. 2, Maya Haston. 12, Caitlin Perry. 13, Tamar Lemon. 5, Sarah Matsuda. 14, Oscar Miata. 6, Sarah O'Donoghue. 22, Isabella Warhead. 3, Leslie Wild. And the substitutes for today's match are 24, Heidi Gray. 7, Stephanie Falia. 1, Anastasia Kiriakou. 10, Bronte Peel. 30, Erin Tarrant. 8, Passion Rahopoulos. And the team lineups for today's fixture for Alamein FC are 2, Estelle Douglas. 8,
versus Alamein in round 16 of the NPL Victoria women's competition. Just moments ago we had the presentation in honour of Keley Lockhart. We cannot go any further without mentioning, obviously, the tragedy of events that have occurred over the past week for Heidelberg after a tough, hard-fought and well-deserved win against South Melbourne. That joy quickly turned into travesty and dismay after the sudden and tragic passing of Keley Lockhart. Since she joined Heidelberg back in 2021, she had become a profound name in the yellow and black, wearing it proudly each and every single weekend. She became one of the most beloved and adored members, not only in the women's locker room, but right across the entire Heidelberg community. She was respected immensely by her colleagues, teammates, and her oppositions. Now, the entire Victorian football community comes together as one, as we all honour Heidelberg's true warrior, the late great Keley Lockhart. There, right on your screen, Heidelberg honouring Keley, with her number being displayed on the substitutions bench. She will forever be a burger and a true warrior at that. But we still have a football game on our hands here at Olympic Village. It's a top place Heidelberg who welcome 5th place Alamein into Olympic Village. Can Alamein slam the Warriors here today, or will Heidelberg's spirit and will to win be too much for them today? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And quickly looking at the lineups, no changes for Heidelberg's squad from their 1-0 victory last week against South Melbourne. Their starting lineup is Mia Hasten, Rosie Wild, Cameron Barreiro, Sawa Matsuda, Sarah O'Donoghue, Caitlin Kudich, Tamar Levin, Oscar Miata, Molly Burke, Mia Bailey in goal, and Isabella Wallhead in the back line as well. And for Alamein, just the one change this time round for them from their lineup that they had last week. Madison Van Doren is into the lineup, replacing Priya Arch-Decone. Alamein's lineup looks like Estelle Bugis, Madison Van Doren, Jessica Shilton, Dakota Thyssen, Paige Clemenson, Emma Runnels, Zoe Houghton, Ashley Lefevre, Neve Dustin, Annalie Akopoulos, and Miranda Templeman in goals. And kickoff has commenced here at Olympic Village. A huge turnout here for Heidelberg here at Olympic Village. Obviously, all to one of the late great Keley Lockhart, who will very much be missed. All our prayers and thoughts from the entire Football Victoria broadcast team and the entire media crew is with her friends, loved ones, and her family as well. So obviously, as I just mentioned, just the one change this time round for Alamein from their draw that they had last week against the Bulleen Lions at home. Or should I mention actually the loss, correction, that they had last week in round 15. A 3-1 loss versus the Bulleen Lions has prompted them with just the one change. And obviously Heidelberg, well, they are such a strong outfit. They have been all year, only just suffering one loss in their entire season thus far, and their one loss came back in round 4 against South Melbourne. But could we see an early opportunity here for Heidelberg, I should say, sorry. And it will be out of play. Glad you could be with us here on this Sunday, the 13th of July. Hope you're nice and toasty warm inside, wherever you may be watching. Should be a cracking contest of football indeed. Could this be an early opportunity? And not quite. So the ball in the back for Bailey. Just going to start pushing up forwards here is Heidelberg. And this time kick there went straight into the feet of Runnels. He's shooting now. Going to take a shot from well beyond range. It might go in the box. And it's gone in the goal. The first one going Alamein's way within the first 5 minutes of the game. And it's Zoe Houghton getting her 6th goal of the season and putting the Burgers down 1-0. And a goal from distance for Zoe Houghton, giving Alamein the first goal of the game here, and a very unexpected one at that. Catching Heidelberg a little bit off guard there with that one. And already it's Alamein who get the first punch here in this encounter. Already switching up the tempo that they had last week against that 3-1 loss, but could they try and respond here? Is Courage going for one of her own from well beyond range, saying if you can do it, Isabella Houghton, I can do it as well. Caitlin Courage was the only goal scorer last week in that 1-0 victory that Heidelberg had over South Melbourne at Lakeside Stadium. And we're going to see the first corner of the afternoon here on the near side. As you can see, the crowd forming right behind the pavilion. I'm sure Heidelberg would want to get one back, and a quick one at that as well. But I want to let Alamein run away with it early on. And you just have a feeling that if Heidelberg get one, the entire Olympic Village here will erupt. Ball's up. Corner for Heidelberg. Could it be? Could it be a chance? Not quite. But a very good opportunity there for Heidelberg to try and equalise the game. And now Alamein just going to take their time now. Still the early stages of this matchup at the moment. The last matchup of round 16 here in the NPL Victoria women's competition. Matsuda tried to get a kick forwards, but was unsuccessful in doing so. She's just got a second to regroup herself. So as Heidelberg just organised who's going to be the free kick taker on this one. Should point out that Heidelberg have the best ranked offense in the NPL women's competition. So a team that's no stranger to scoring goals is definitely this Heidelberg United squad, with the additions that they made at the mid-season transfer window, bringing in a couple of current A-League players. They're definitely a scary team to watch out for, and especially as the season starts to close in to finals time. I'm sure no team would want to face them. A full-strength Heidelberg team is a very, very scary one. So at the moment, Heidelberg just a little bit stunned here at the start of this game. Caught very much off guard. The entire stand here was caught off guard by that goal from Zoe Houghton. From well beyond range, you almost thought that Mia Bailey was going to catch that one and stop that from going into the back of the netting, but instead, I think even she too was confused about that one. So Alamein with the early lead here. We'll watch for Heidelberg to strike back, as already maintaining quite a bit of possession of it. O'Donoghue in the middle of the pitch. Levin calls for it, getting her defender to fall over. It was Dustin who fell over. O'Donoghue again. She's selling the candy well here. Managing to get both Dustin and Shilton to fall for it. And that time it was Clemenson who tried to give it a bit forwards for one of her fellow Heidelberg teammates. Alamein started off relatively strong last week in their matchup against FC Berlin Lions. Obviously suffered a mirage of goals in that matchup, going down 3-1. I'm sure they'd want to recover it, and at the moment they might be on their way to doing so. However, if this girl right here on screen right now on the ball has anything to do with it, she'll want to spoil the party. Just tries to cross it in to Tamar Levin, who was inside the box. Sawa Matsuda, 15 goals for the season thus far. And whenever she's in clear air, you just never know if she's going to score a goal. Such a talented player she is. She got the game-winning goal in that 2024 NPL Grand Final, which gave Heidelberg the victory. Gave them that comeback win. And here she is right on cue in the middle of the park. Miyata. Heidelberg, they're just slowly scrolling up the pitch here now. Isabel Wallhead. And tripping up with it, it will be Alamein's ball. So the ball be cleared away by Van Doren. Wild and Bailey just playing a bit of tippy-tapper with it in the back line, in that back third. Heidelberg's greatest strength, in my opinion, definitely have to be their ability to open up their offense, providing them with so many opportunities to try and attack. They can almost attack from any angle when they are attacking, when the ball is up in their final third. Do such a good job as well at really opening up the defense. Miyata tries to set it up over the head of Matsuda. Matsuda's going to try and center it back inside, but she struggled to do so. And already the tempo and energy has lifted for Heidelberg. Obviously tough for them after the tragic events that have occurred within the last week. Suffering the loss of their number 9, and you just know that there is a number 9 watching on. She'll be looking down with a smile on her face if they can get the job done. So the first offside of the game going Alamein's way. Last time these two teams faced off, Alamein had the 1 offside. Heidelberg had the 2, and the first one already coming as we just tick over 11.5 minutes here in this ball game. Got a big match feel, this one does, at Olympic Village. Heidelberg United having a fantastic season, managing to replicate their successes that they've had and backing it up after what was an incredible championship run that they had last year in 2024, capturing the championship in the NPL Victoria women's competition. And almost certainly they'd want to recapture that same success here once again. Wallhead to throw it in. Went down the line to Kadic, who's also one of the new additions in this Heidelberg team. And the has had already some success playing for Heidelberg thus far. And could it be a chance? There it is! The first one for Heidelberg and the equaliser. And you already know a certain number 9 is looking down with a smile on this Heidelberg team. 1-1 at Olympic Village. And Heidelberg respond in a big way. What an unbelievable goal it was. And Heidelberg getting the equaliser that they need. And getting themselves back in, shaking off the cobwebs after what was a very shaky start that they had. So we'll just wait for the ball to be back in. Both teams managing to trade blows from well beyond distance. Phenomenal display by Heidelberg, managing to bounce back in a big way. So we're back at level pegging here, one apiece, with 15 minutes so far elapsed here in this ball game. Clemenson on that far side, off forwards to Houghton. The opening goal for Heidelberg. Oh, sorry, I should say for Alamein, I should say, correction. And a bit of a mistimed kick there. And the ball will be out of play. So Tamar Levin gave Heidelberg the equaliser. That was her third goal of the season, and what a time it came from well beyond distance, answering with one of her own. And she might get another one here as Heidelberg looking to try and attack yet again. Ball on this near side here, Runnels trying to break away. She was in a sandwich of just yellow Guernseys in the middle. Miyata controlling the ball well off of Houghton. She's going to retreat it right back into their back third here. Heidelberg only have just one loss at home all season. That came back in round 4. A 5-1 loss to South Melbourne. They've virtually been unstoppable at home here at Olympic Village. And you can definitely tell why. We've got a player laid out. Referee is not going to call it yet. Our head referee for this matchup is Benjamin Howell. And finally electing to call that one. So 2 goals already in this game, one for both retrospective teams, and both from well beyond distance as well. And if both these two teams are going to keep on delivering with big time goals like that from well beyond distance, I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, you grab yourself a beer, sit back down on your couch, because it should be an absolute cracker. As I mentioned before, a unbelievable turnout here at Olympic Village. The entire Victorian community coming out to show their support and solidarity for Heidelberg after the tough week that they've had. However, some good news indeed for the Heidelberg men's team, who took the pitch here yesterday in the Doherty Cup semi-final against Nunawading, managing to punch their ticket to the Doherty Cup final, getting a 5-0 victory against Nunawading down in the VPL 2 competition. It was a virtual domination from the men's team, who I also on top of the competition in their league. Both Heidelberg teams performing at a phenomenal level here this season. 2025 looks to be their year. And they've thrown everything at it. Heidelberg as well, also in the Australia Cup, might I add as well. So watch out for them there. I'm sure they'd want to have a big time showing. They are the cup upsets. After all, they can always provide with a cheeky little cup upset, especially like they had last year. It was right here where they took down the reigning A-League champions, the Central Coast Mariners, 3-1 in the round of 32. So if there's any team that is no stranger to pulling off a big cup upset, it's definitely the Burgers. So just pushing the ball out wide here. Wallhead plays a beautiful ball back. His Cuttage off to a leading Wallhead. She's still got possession of it. Plays a beautiful ball off to Miyato. He's going to try and set it back up for Wallhead inside the box. And that one no good, but a crafty little play there from Isabel Wallhead. Doing a good job at setting up the play. Currently a Perth Glory player in the Women's A-League competition. O'Donoghue sets the ball up. Back off again to Wallhead. And instead, Alamein managing to take that ball off. Can they try and counter-attack? No numbers ahead of the football here. Houghton is all by herself. She's calling for Runnels to get forward. Could this be a chance for Alamein? No chance on that attempt. The Heidelberg defense just proving a little bit too solid here. Alamein going to look to try and attack here once again. Van Duren to throw it in. Tried to go forward. She had a player inside the box. Shilton going to take another shot from well beyond range, and that one was no good. So both teams here just going for goal here early on. No shortage of attacking opportunities here at Heidelberg. Putting on a show here for the fans that have turned out. An incredible turnout here at Olympic Village, as I've already previously mentioned. Here's Rosie Wild. She's slowly making her way inside. In the middle of the park she goes now. She's still got possession of the football. Thyssen was in pursuit of her. Ball instead is going to be cleared out to Burgess, who's the captain for Alamein. Ball's going to be given a big boot forwards, and no chance on that one for Heidelberg. Should mention as well that Alamein ranked the best defense in the competition thus far. The second best is South Melbourne. Alamein have only conceded 16 goals thus far. Make that 17 with the goal that was scored by Tamar Levin a little bit early on. South Melbourne is second. And then it's a three-way tie for third between Heidelberg United, Bulleen, and the Boroondara Carry Eagles. They all sit at 21 goals conceded. So a very close encounter on paper here between both these sides. And we're already seeing it right now. 1-1, both of these two teams looking to try and have an opportunity go their way. Could this be a chance here? Matsuda, who's the intended target. She has been for 15 different other occasions. And instead it's Templeman managing to get her hands on the football. Templeman, who currently at the moment is a current player as well for Perth Glory. Spent some time playing for Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory. Actually made her debut game for the Reds in February of 2022. Miyata, 11, going to take a shot again from distance. And you can slowly see why Alamein are ranked one of the best defenses in the competition, not allowing Heidelberg to have a clear shot inside the box. A little slippage there by Wallhead. Be worth to mention as well that both player of the months for the NPL competition came from both men's and women's from Heidelberg United. Player of the month for women's, Sawa Matsuda, and the player of the month for the men's, Jamal Ali. So Heidelberg having found some success with recruiting some unbelievable players. Jamal Ali, who's been doing a phenomenal job in the back line for the men's team, had an extraordinary game yesterday. Again, allowing 0 goals to be given up by Nunawading. Nunawading, they had their work cut out for them. And at the moment, the possession seems to be in favour of Heidelberg. And Alamein seem to be dealing with it quite comfortably. Templeman again with a kick forwards. We're just going to retreat back to Van Doren. Forwards. It goes. And not quite there on that attempt either. Ashley Lefevre, one of the new additions in the team, along too with Anna Leakopoulos, both coming in from Bentley Greens in the mid-season transfer window in the Reds. So far, they've been pretty good additions as well for them. So the ball just retreating back slowly. Rosie Wild. Actually, might I add as well, Ashley Lefevre rejoins Alamein. She was a former Alamein player, played in 2022, 2023 and 2024. Spent 3 seasons in the red outfit for them, and now she rejoins after her short little stint from the Bentley Greens, as I already mentioned. 11, under a bit of pressure from Thyssen in the middle of the park, managing to retreat it back just in the nick of time. Miyata playing it forwards to O'Donoghue. Tries to play it along the deck. And the pass was picked off. Van Doren. There's Lefevre. He's got a sea of yellow in front of her. Here's Runnels now. Tries to give it off to a forward charging Zoe Horton. Was unsuccessful in doing so. Zoe Horton, the only goal scorer for Alamein. That opening goal came within the first 5 minutes of the game. Matsuda. Miyata giving it a kick. Them two really know how to link up well. They have linked up well on several occasions this season. Oscar Miyata and Sawa Matsuda. A lot of Miyata's assists come from setting up Matsuda. So watch out for that connection between the two. They're known to be scary. Lefevre doing a good job of controlling the football, but instead the ball's given up. Miyata. Alamein just losing possession of the football here. Here's O'Donoghue. Back off to Burke. He's been a little bit silent in that midfield thus far. It's been Miyata in the engine room doing quite a lot of the heavy picking here in this one thus far. Miyata again. She had to give it up quickly. She had Horton directly behind her. That ball will be cleared away. And it still will be Heidelberg's possession here. while we're in a little bit of an intermittent break. I should mention that this is the 25th meeting that these two sides have faced off. It's Alamein who leads the head-to-head count, 13 wins to only just the 6 for Heidelberg, and the 5 draws they've had in their entire contests over those 25 meetings. However, it has been Heidelberg as of late who have had Alamein's number, having won the past 3 matches quite convincingly. However, their most recent matchup was a 1-1 draw earlier this year when it took place at Dorothy Labour West Reserve, the home of Alamein. That was a 1-1 draw. It was actually Sawa Matsuda who scored the only goal for Heidelberg, and it was Emma Runnels who scored the only one for Alamein. So Wallhead tried to keep it alive. Instead, it's Lefevre managing to box her out. Miyata in the middle to Matsuda. Tries to play it well, and she couldn't quite manage to find another opposition. Another teammate, I should say, sorry. Runnels. Right on cue, as I mentioned, her being the only scorer for Alamein in their last matchup that they had between Heidelberg. Is O'Donoghue again, under a massive amount of pressure from Van Doren. Burke. She needs to get firing a little bit. She does. They'll definitely need her as the game does progress. Molly Burke. Hasten. All just in the back third here for Heidelberg. Ball sent forwards here. Tried to go to Kudic. There's a good shoulder there from O'Donoghue, managing to keep possession well. Kudic tried to go forwards, so O'Donoghue was leading forwards. Here's Levin. Going to clear it out off to that far side for Barrerio. Miyata. Going to set it up beautifully to Sawa Matsuda. Could she get another one here? Going to take another shot, and a very close one there for Heidelberg indeed. And the shot looked quite good there for Caitlin Kudic, but instead denied by Templeman in the goal. Miranda Templeman, this is her 4th game today so far this season. Another one of the players who came in at the mid-season transfer window for Alamein, along too with Leakopoulos and Lefevre. Clemenson. Forwards now to Runnels. However, Alamein just struggling to have the numbers ahead of the football here. So far this game being dominated right now by Heidelberg. You can see why they have one of the best ranked offenses in the competition. O'Donoghue. Could it be for Kudic inside the box? Gives it up for Matsuda. Could it be? Couldn't quite get there. And instead it's Anna Leakopoulos just getting there in the nick of time. The former Bentley Greens player managing to boot it away. Now in red. Sawa Matsuda is looking for goal number 16. At the moment, she is 5 goals clear of second place on the table, on the scoring sheet. So I am almost sure of it, I should say, actually, that with the way that Heidelberg are playing, an opportunity will arise for her to get that goal number 16. Miyata and Matsuda connecting and linking up well. And Templeman yet again. Ball going straight into the feet of Barrerio. Instead, it's Clemenson managing to run away with it. She's still got possession of the football here, marching her way up the pitch. Going to make it inside to Zoe Horton again. That time denied yet again. Barrerio. Back off again to Barrerio. And you can see there Alamein they've got the numbers back, just like Heidelberg did on that previous occasion. Not allowing for Heidelberg to go on the attack. Matsuda doing a beautiful little tip there off to Karic. Just waiting for her teammates to come forwards. O'Donoghue's in the back, tries to set it up forwards for Levin. But you can see here that Heidelberg, they're really confusing Alamein with those little back heel passes. Horton, could this be a chance for her to try and get goal number 2 in this one? And no chance there on that one. The defense just proving a little bit too strong there. Mia Hayson doing a phenomenal job on defense there against Zoe Horton. So we slowly wind up to the final 10 minutes of this first half. Heidelberg started off a little bit sloppy. It was Alamein managed to get the first blow, while Heidelberg were a little bit stumpy. And then obviously Heidelberg coming back and managing to level the game up at 1 apiece after that unbelievable kick by Tamar Levin. Only just managing to scrape it. Both goals as well were from well beyond distance. The corner comes up here for Alamein, and it's cleared away by Heidelberg. Shilton trying to retain possession for Alamein. Matsuda again. Can she try and set up the kick here? Can't quite. She had Levin. Instead, Levin's going to go down to the decking. And Alamein still deciding to press up here. Referee Benjamin Howell not calling anything. Dustin going to try and give a kick of her own. And not quite there. Mia Bailey doing a good job there at stopping that one. Barrerio. Again, Matsuda, the intended target on every passage of attack here for Heidelberg. Here's Burke. Just took her time on that pass. Kicked forwards to Karic. Here's Barrerio. Off to Matsuda, who had a Alamein player directly behind her, not giving her any breathing space whatsoever. Still in pursuit of it here between Alamein and Heidelberg. Still will remain Alamein's possession. And we're going to get Madison Van Duren to throw it in. Both teams playing pretty level-headed at the moment over the last couple minutes. I will say it was Heidelberg dominating a majority of that mid part of that first half at the moment. However, the momentum seems to have leveled out here. Matsuda again under the football with Shilton. Levin came back and gave it a header as well, and the ball going to retreat all the way back to Templeman, who's going to clear it off to Burgess. So Lefebvre just pushing up a little bit. Not in her normal spot. Normally she's playing in that left back position. Instead, she decided to push up there. Here's Karic managing to evade well off Shilton. Tries to set it up. Ball goes over. And Just another little mistime there. Molly Burke, she was in the back, couldn't quite manage to have enough numbers there up front. Could it be another opportunity? Not quite for Heidelberg. However, you just know that one of these attacks will go in again for Heidelberg. Tried to go towards the back. It was Wallhead with that one. And instead, now come Alamein. Clemenson. Forwards. Beautiful little touch there to herself. Zoe Horton. And she couldn't quite get the space. Maya Hasten managing to block her away. I think a good little opportunity here to look at all the other matchups that have happened here over the weekend. Spring Hill's got a 3-2 victory over Bentley Greens. It was the Preston Lions going down 3-0 to the Boroondara Carry Eagles. Brunswick Juventus getting a 3-2 victory, a big-time victory for them over South Melbourne. The Essendon Royals getting a 5-3 victory against FC Bulleen Lions. And at the moment, it's one apiece between Heidelberg and Alamein. Just the one game that was rescheduled that will take place at a later date is going to be Box Hill United and FV Academy. Their matchup is going to take place on another date. That match will take place on Friday the 8th of August. That one will be at Wembley Park as well. Back to the action though. Is Burke. Couldn't quite manage to secure the football. Shilton, who seems to be everywhere at the moment, played a phenomenal game last week against the Bulleen Lions. She did. Put quite a lot of pressure on the attack of Bulleen. However, just Bulleen managing to sneak their way forwards. And at the moment, Oscar Miata managing to sneak her way forwards. Could this be a chance here? Not quite yet again for Heidelberg. So booted forwards for Alamein. Here's Zoe Horton. She's got a foot race between Isabel Wallhead. She's still onside. Gives her a little bit of a hip and shoulder. Back off to Lefebvre. And instead the pass is picked off beautifully by Molly Burke. Here's Burke yet again. Going straight into the feet of Thyssen. It's a 2-on-1 in the final third for Alamein, and that ball will be sent out of here. So we'll just wait up on Rosie Wild to check if she's all right. Rosie Wild, born in New Zealand. She signed with the Essendon Royals, actually, in 2023. She was the winner of the Kate Shepherd Cup with Wellington United in New Zealand. She's also had a whole heap of experience playing in the national New Zealand leagues over across the pond. She was also named part of the 2024 NPL Women's Team of the Season. So first season part of the Burgers. Played for Brunswick Juventus last season. Played in 20 games for them, and at the moment she's been a very good fit for the Warriors. So clock is slowly ticking down. We'll wait and see if we do get any additional time in this one. 1-1 though. We've yet to see a goal since that last goal by Tamar Levin with the equaliser for Heidelberg. And you almost know that a certain Keley Lockhart was looking down on her with a smile. An unbelievable goal it was. Got her from well beyond range. She was 1-on-1. No space in the world. And well, that is why she's playing in the A-League women's competition, so that tells you everything. O'Donoghue with a beautiful touch to herself to Cuttage.
Can she make something of it this time? Could it be? Open goal! There it is! Number 16 for Sawamata! Matsuda on another level right now. And the crowd goes into a frenzy.
And well deservedly so. So many opportunities came. They couldn't quite convert one. Alamein's defense just proved a little too strong. And at the end of it, goal number 16 for her season for Sawa Matsuda. I wasn't quite sure if it was Oscar Miyata or Sawa Matsuda, both of which looked like they both tipped it in. If I could, I'll give the goal and split it in half to both. But nevertheless, though, Sawa Matsuda, goal number 16. She's in a whole different league of her own right now. And can Alamein try and respond? They've already pushed up the numbers here, trying to get one back. And Mia Bailey doing a great job at defending that one well. And that goal came in the dying stages of this first half. And would you believe it, folks, we still have one more half of football left to play. Quite an exciting game of football it has been. Both teams doing a really good job, both defensively and offensively, playing some really smart football here. However, it just has been Heidelberg playing and having that extra step in momentum. Matsuda with a beautiful chest control. Going forwards to Levin, who's already had the first in this one. Pass was picked off though. Thyssen in the middle, retreating it all the way back. Leakopoulos going back off to Templeman. Miranda Templeman going to play it to Lefebvre. Lefebvre yet again, trying to sell some of her own candy there. Header's going to go straight to Dustin. Dustin going to take another shot from well beyond range, going straight into the chest of Mia Bailey. Rosie Wild, the New Zealander. Definitely no stranger to the cold, that's for sure. It is quite chilly. The wind has definitely started to pick up here. Wind going from right to left. Quite a chilly breeze here. However, these women, I think they haven't got anything to complain. The blood's definitely pumping. And the adrenaline is at its max. Rosie Wild playing it back to Mia Bailey. Here's Wild. Wild going to give it a kick forward. She's onside, Caitlin Cuttage, who's got one-on-one she had with Shilton. And that will be half-time here, called by Benjamin Howell. What a first half of football it was. It was Alamein who got the first after a goal by Zoe Horton, which was in the first 5 minutes of this one. And instead it was Tamar Levin with the answer. And then, I thought at least, that second goal should be split between Oscar Miyata and Sawa Matsuda, but instead it was Sawa Matsuda who took all the praise in that one. The 16th goal of the season. And it gives Heidelberg a 2-1 lead going into half-time. Playing more football right after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Olympic Village for round 16 of the NPL Victoria women's competition between Heidelberg United and Alamein FC. As we went into halftime, it was Heidelberg United with a 2-1 lead over Alamein. Only just managed to score the leading goal in the dying stages of that first half. And it was Sawa Matsuda for goal number 16 of her season, putting it in the back of the netting and giving them the lead in this one. Alamein started off strong, had the opening goal of the game. It was quite a low, really slow ball that came from well beyond distance and somehow managed to confuse Mia Bailey in goal and managed to just sneak into the netting, which gave them the early lead. However, if we're going to talk about all goals, we've got to talk about Tamar Levin's equaliser at 1-1. Only happening about 10 or so minutes after that goal, putting them the equaliser from range. What a goal it was. Still have one more half here to go at Olympic Village. Glad you could be with us. If you are watching this, I suggest you grab a beer, sit back on your couch and relax, because this second half is about to be an absolute cracker. From what I'm seeing right now, I don't think there's been any changes for both respective sides in this second half. And Heidelberg are going to look to try and start off strong with a big boot by Oscar Miyata. Could it be? Possibly, and not quite. Even my cameraman over here got a little bit too excited with that one. We've seen already 2 goals from beyond distance. Maybe it could have been a third. Levin. Could it be for O'Donoghue? Slipped up on the kick and not quite. Quite a lot of fans here in attendance for this matchup. Could expect a big time finish to this one. The one fan who I'm disappointed in not seeing is the iconic Heidelberg running man. I'm yet to see him in attendance. Normally I see him in the NPL men's games running up and down the pitch. The fan of the century, in my opinion. Love it whenever he's out and about. That's full Heidelberg in full effect right there. Shout out to him if he's watching. Love to meet you one day. Pereiro. And Heidelberg still in possession of that one. So we're going to have the first corner kick of this second half. Not too many corners in that first half that we saw from both sides. So this is going to be the first of the second half. And I'm sure that Heidelberg would love to extend their lead out to 2 goals and put them with 3 on the score sheet. Could it be? Not quite. The ball's lost in the middle of the pack there. And the ball will be cleared and filtered out to Tamar Levin, who's one-on-one with Leokopoulos, who's the brand new addition from the Bentley Greens. Ball's crossed in here. Wallhead's in the back, going to try keep possession of it. And instead, it's Van Duren managing to knock it out. And while we're at it, may as well go on to say that the next matchup for Heidelberg, they're going to take on Brunswick Juventus next week on Saturday at 4:15 p.m. And for Alamein, they're going to take on the Essendon Royals. There's a close little encounter there it was for Heidelberg. Alamein's matchup will be at 3 p.m. Both of the teams playing at their retrospective home grounds at Dorothy Labour for Alamein and here Olympic Village for Heidelberg. Ball managing to be tipped away, only just. Thyssen managing to just somehow get some headers going for that kick. Tamar Levin, who had the opening goal in this one. Miyata rises up. Couldn't quite rise up high enough over Zoe Horton. Here's Thyssen. Going to clear it out. Just in the nick of time to Van Duren, who had Sawa Matsuda all over her. And that ball will be out of play. Lefevre to Runnels. Ball just being passed around on that far side, right next to the substitutions benches. Here's Kadic. Tries to give it a through ball off to Matsuda, who would love goal number 17. And that ball still be Heidelberg's. Heidelberg have had majority of the possession of the football in this one. They are the top of the table, sitting on 12 wins, only just had 2 draws, and their only loss that they've had was back in round 4 against South Melbourne. Such a strong team, looking to go back-to-back to try and clinch this 2025 NPL Victoria Women's Championship. Ball's going to come in, but not quite on that attempt for Heidelberg. A little bit of an ambitious kick that time. Here comes Miyata charging from behind. And Heidelberg somehow managing to walk away with it. Here's Matsuda, who's going to give it a kick. But from my angle, it looked like it was going in. Maybe from her, she almost knew it wasn't going to be anywhere close to the goal. And only just managing to rinse that one wide of the goal. Clemenson, who didn't play too bad in that first half. A little bit quiet compared to her matchup that she had last week. She was a little bit all over the pitch in the game last week against Bulleen Lions. Could it be a little set-up kick here for Miyato, who's going to kick it inside the box. Ball's deflected inside. Matsuda going to give it a kick away. And that's a second shot for Matsuda on consecutive attempts on goal. And that ball going to go out as well. Directed again for Clemenson. So here is Cameron Barrerio to throw it in. Ball's going to be in the back third for Heidelberg. Cleared out to Wallhead. Wallhead is still maintaining possession of this football. No one can get it off her. But instead it was Ashley Lefevre who managed to sneak the ball back, and the ball going straight into Benjamin Howell, our referee. Copped the brute force of that one, he did. However, he's tough as nails, he is, so he'll be all right for it. Shilton off to Leokopoulos, another former Bentley Greens player. Ball going straight into the Heidelberg player of, I believe it was O'Donoghue, and is O'Donoghue going to turn around and have a shot. And both of these women just getting a little bit needy here with some of these kicks. Very uncalled for shots that they're taking right now. Don't think it'll help them come the long run. However, they're just putting some pressure on the defense here of Alamein. And another little mishap there by Alamein. This time it's Wallhead forwards to Matsuda, who's going to take another one, and it was offside. And she's hunting and she's eager for that goal number 17, I should say, sorry. having a unbelievable season thus far. Sawa Matsuda was the NPL Women's Player of the Month that was just announced this past week. And well deservedly so. And the Men's Player of the Month, both actually being from Heidelberg. That was Jamal Ali, who's another player who's having a phenomenal season as well on the back line. Doing a superb job. Ball just tipped up at the moment in the air. It's Lefevre managing to keep and hold possession of it. Ball goes forwards to Runnels. Miata is in there trying to break the ball away off of Thyssen. Heidelberg still have possession of this one here. Ball's in the middle. Tamar Levin. Ball with She Love, goal number 20. Ran a close one there. I was going to say ball with She Love, goal number 2. Instead I got mistaken and read her number instead, folks. So my apologies about that one. So ball just going to be all the way sent to the back third here for Heidelberg, and the ball just going to retreat back to Mia Bailey. Heidelberg, they still have a game on Wednesday in the Nike FC Cup. Their semi-final against Bundara United will kick off at 7:30 p.m. right here at Olympic Village. The second semi-final will be against FC Berlin Lions and South Melbourne. That one will be at 7:30 p.m. at the Veneto Club. So a quick turnaround for a couple of these NPL teams. Since the Heidelberg United men's squad is in the final of the Doherty Cup, I'm sure the women's would love to be in the final of the Nike FC Cup as well. Burke tried to play it off to Kadic. Kick was mistimed though. Instead it's Miata, who's been manhandled in the middle of the park there, and it's Tamar Levin again. And a couple of these recent shots here from Heidelberg, they're just feeling a little bit too overconfident, I'd say. Kicking him from well beyond range. Again, the possibility of one of those going in is relatively low. But then again, if you are Tamar Levin, after her goal that she had from beyond range, I think her possibility and probability of a goal going in from well beyond range would be relatively high, I'd say. Do have a player down here for Alamein. So good to see that Emma Runnels is okay after that collision she had. Emma Runnels, who's played in all 14 games thus far for Alamein. Scored 5 goals this season she has. I'm sure she'd love another one of those goals, in which came in the previous encounter against Heidelberg earlier on this year. That scoreline resulted in 1-1. Wild. Play forwards to O'Donoghue. Back off to Barrerio. That ball will be out of play. And it is starting to get quite chilly here in Heidelberg at Olympic Village. The Alamein bench have brought out one of their mum's blankets that they've decided to put over their legs to try and keep some warmth. Meanwhile, the substitutions for Heidelberg are starting to slowly get warmed up, so expect a couple substitutions in this one, folks. Ball going to be played in the middle of the park. Miata sold the candy pretty well there. She's going to take a shot. What a goal for Asuka Miata! Another one from beyond range. And what a time to come. 3-1 is the lead for the Burgers. And they were feeling out some of those long kicks, and eventually one of them went in. And she almost felt a little bit robbed after that last goal that Sawa Matsuda had. And instead she says, you can have that one, I'll have this one. And you can bet your bottom dollar that that certainly might be making an appearance on possibly the team, or the goal of the week, I should say. What an absolute ripper for Asuka Miyata, who's had a sensational game thus far, doing an unbelievable job in the engine room for the Burgers. And the rain is starting to fall here at Olympic Village. Here's Kadic, who's going to take another shot from beyond range, making Miranda Templeman go out. So 3-1 scoreline here at Olympic Village, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a very dominant second half display thus far from Heidelberg. And you just know that Keley Lockhart is looking down from the heavens with a huge smile on her face, especially after that goal from Asuka Miyata. And a mistimed kick there it was. Mia Hayson hesitated a little bit too long, and instead it's Dustin who managed to capitalize on that one, and Rosie Wild managing to nick that one away just in the nick of time. But you can definitely tell that Keley Lockhart is looking down with a huge smile on her face on her current team right now. In my opinion, is definitely one of the big time favourites as this season starts to slowly wind up. And come finals time, they're definitely a real big shot at going back to back. I know they'd love to go back to back. And they'd surely love to make an appearance in the final of the Nike FC Cup, that's for sure as well. So Bailey to take the free kick after that offside. Ball just being tipped up here between the two players. Caitlin Kadic managing to walk away with the possession only just from Burgess. Burgess going to give it a kick now in the middle of the park. And here comes Sawa Matsuda, who's caught offside well early on. I forgot to also mention we have had a substitution. Rosen Murphy is out there wearing the number 12 for Alamein in the middle of the park, I believe. So keep an eye out for her, a substitution for Alamein. Could this be a chance here for Alamein? It's off to Zoe Horton. She's already had the opening one of this game. She might have space here, and instead she's going to take a massive collision with a defender there of Heidelberg. Mia Hayson took the brute force of that impact. Levin back off to Burke. Wallhead as well, who's done a phenomenal job after being called up to play in the mid-season transfer. Such a phenomenal defender she is. Here's Murphy. He's just going to tip that one away. Murphy, who's played in 10 games thus far for Alamein. She's in for Alamein right now. She's from New South Wales, and this is a little bit of a derby game for her because she is a former Heidelberg United player, one of her junior clubs that she began her career playing for, and now she's out there playing against them in the red and black outfit. And boy, would she love a little bit of a piece of the pie out here to try and get something back from her former club. Clemenson managing to walk away with a possession, but her space was being closed out heavily by Hasten and Barrerio. So the rain is falling here at Olympic Village. Everybody has come under the grandstand here for some shelter. No one wants to get wet. Seeing a lot of puffer jackets out and around here. Definitely a chilly one here this afternoon. But things are heating up out there on the pitch. Heidelberg with a 3-1 lead. And a corner for Alamein, looking to try and get back within one. Ball will be fluctuated back around. Here's Lefebvre and Molly Burke saying, get that ball out of here. Get it away from our attacking box. Horton tried to play it off to Clemenson. She was the intended target, but I think slipped up a little bit on the kick. And that ball just going to go back out to Wallhead again. So the rain is coming down thick and thin right now, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what they say. If you want a little bit of a interesting game of football, just add a bit of water. Again, there is nothing better than a bit of wet weather of football. We're being treated to it right now. Which one of these teams can accumulate themselves a little bit better to the wet weather conditions? We haven't seen too much of it so far this year. The last big downfall of rain I can remember was back on Anzac Day. And it was the Preston Lions who took on the Bentley Greens at Geneseo Stadium. It was raining and bucketing all day. So 2 substitutions have checked in here for Alamein in the meantime. Along too with a couple substitutions coming in for Heidelberg. So we'll get the names of them to you as quickly as we can. Harriet Laurie has come into the game for Alamein. And along to Bronte Peel is in for Heidelberg. And the other player in is Erin Stamatopoulos. There's a shot just going over the bar, and a very close one indeed there for Heidelberg. And they're starting to make use of these long ball opportunities that they're getting. They're feeling overly confident right now with the long shot. And you can see why when they're only just skimming over the crossbar like that. One of them is inevitably going to go in. As we see Bronte Peel putting a lot of pressure there. Matsuda. And Templeman is down in the box. How about the defensive masterclass there from Heidelberg, putting a whole heap of pressure on Miranda Templeman, forcing her into a big-time mistake. Almost gave Heidelberg a 4-1 lead. Luckily, with the amount of pace that there was on that kick, the ball just kept on rolling away from Bronte Peel's feet. Bronte Peel, she's only got 1 goal so far this year. She was named the Maitland Sportsperson of the Year back in 2024. She also won the Emily Van Egmond Medal as the NPL Women's Northern New South Wales Player of the Year. She also awarded the Players Player and the Golden Boot Award in New South Wales. So definitely no stranger to awards and goal kicking. But Barrerio going to kick it, and what a goal she's gotten! That's 4 for Heidelberg, and she's loving it and signalling to Keley Lockhart, and she's waving to the fans to get up and about. 4 goals for Heidelberg. And that is her 3rd goal of the season. In game number 40 for her, she secures her goal this season, and there she is. The fans are loving every bit of it. Quite the fan favourite indeed. And what a goal for Cameron Barrerio. As if this game couldn't be tilted on its head anymore. Somehow finding another way to make it that just extra exciting. And you just know Keley Lockhart loved that one as well. Was one of the friends of Keley, Cameron Barrerio. Made a heartfelt post she did on Instagram. If you haven't checked it out, I suggest you go and check it out. And you almost know that she's dedicated that one to her. And she'll be looking down on her with a huge smile. That ball just kicked out by Stamatopoulos, one of the new ins who's been subbed in for Alamein. And I think I might have been a little bit right in terms of the rain coming down and making it an interesting game of football. The first goal in the rain. And it's definitely been a highlight reel of goals here today. And I'm sure Heidelberg don't want to stop there. A whole heap of pressure is Sawa Matsuda applying. And Heidelberg do such a good job at this, constantly applying a whole ton of pressure on whoever has possession of the football. That's what really wins them a lot of the ball. And there you go, just like that. Bronte Peel just coming out of nowhere, getting that ball away. Miyata. Off to Matsuda. This time she's offside, though. She's been called offside a couple of times already today. That time, she remained disciplined in staying onside. Here's Houghton with Barrerio behind her. And it will be Alamein's free kick here. Fun fact, actually, Cameron Barrerio played in all the games for Heidelberg last season, didn't score 1 goal, and this time round, this season, in her 2nd season for the club, going goalless in her 1st season, has scored 3 goals on the trot already. Quite the impressive breakout season she's having as well. So Alamein need some momentum here, because at the moment Heidelberg are mounting enormous pressure on them. Obviously with some goal scoring pressure as well. And here is Stephanie Galea, who's also was subbed in, as Bronte Peel going for one of her own. Stephanie Galea as well, another one of Keley Hart's very close friends. Quite a touching Instagram post she made as well. I suggest you go and have a look at her one. And I'm sure she would love to have a goal and dedicate it to Keley. Could it be in? Matsuda! She's looking for 17. And she's getting really, really etchy here. And Heidelberg would love to put 5 on the scoreboard. The scoreboard right behind the back of the goal of Alamein right now. Possibly a little bit of an imposing figure whenever you do turn around, if you are Alamein, and if you look over at the scoreline. And a 5th goal could be looming here at Olympic Village. So another corner here. Cameron Barrerio going to set it up inside the box. And quite a low one at that as well. And instead we go from the far side of the pitch to the near side of the pitch now. At the moment, ladies and gentlemen, it is 15 degrees here at Olympic Village. However, I will say it does feel like it's about colder than 8. That's for sure. The second corner goes up. Could it be? And not quite there on that occasion for Heidelberg. They're mounting enormous pressure. The pitch starting to get relatively damp. Rain is coming down quite hard. Miata managing to find Bronte Peel, who's going to take a shot herself, and not quite on that occasion. And you can see just how much Heidelberg are mounting right now. Alamein do not seem to be in this match right now. Just seems that whatever Alamein do, Heidelberg has a response for it. Horden. And yet again, example is proven yet again as the header managing to get that ball away from a charging Runnels. Peel, back off, who's playing a bit of tippy-tapper with it, gets it back from O'Donoghue, who's going to lace it from well beyond range, and not quite. Burgess, going to play it inside of the middle of the park. Dustin, who goes down. Referee Benjamin Howell isn't going to signal for anything. Murphy going to play it back, trying to try and cross it in here. Could this be a chance for Alamein? Possibly the first of the second half here. And a good little stoppage there indeed. And also another player who's checked in, and we got another substitution coming in here for Heidelberg. Tamar Levin will be coming off. That'll be her day done and dusted. Catherine Vlahopoulos will be coming in. She's played in all 15 games thus far. This one, her 16th. This for her is game number 103. Only ticked over game 100 only a couple rounds ago. Another player who also checked in the meantime for Alamein that I forgot to mention, Maximila Kostur. She's from Victoria. One of her highlights of her career, actually, for Maximila Kostur. Spent some time training in Croatia. And a bit of a weird fact that I found about her, she only has half an almond for breakfast. So a bit of an unusual breakfast indeed for Maximila Kostur. And if you don't believe me, by all means go on Alamein's website. Check out the players list and you can find out a whole heap of information about the players. Some of the superstitions learning about some of these players as well. I see quite a few players are very superstitious when it comes to putting on their socks, shin pads and boots. They always tend to put their left one on first, then opt to go to the right one. Superstition in full effect. So we've got a free kick here for Heidelberg. Sarah O'Donoghue to take it. Going to give it a massive wind-up. And not quite on that occasion. But she's eager, though, Sarah O'Donoghue, right now. She's seeing everyone else get on the score tally. She's saying, I want to be part of it too. Let me get in on this action. Once again, thank you so much for your company here in this round of 16 matchup. Before kickoff, we had a 15-minute tribute for the late great Keley Lockhart, who tragically passed away earlier on this week. And in her name, a tribute was made. Quite a touching one of that. A minute's silence was made as well for such a club legend who was so beloved in and around the club. Her number being honoured on the Heidelberg bench with a number 9 made out of flowers. Quite a fitting, heartwarming touch there by Heidelberg. She'll always be in their hearts. And you definitely know that she's riding the waves of this game right now. So as we close in on about slowly getting to 10 minutes to go in this second half, as we have a player just holding on to her leg for Heidelberg. We started off this day clear skies and all. It's almost as if we could sense that there was a higher power giving us a clear start to the day, and now we are here with peltering rain, peltering the pitch right now. However, these women are dealing with it very well indeed. So a free kick here for Alamein on that far side. Just a couple metres or so in front of their bench. Ball's going to be up for Alamein here. Boy, would they love a second goal. And they're just going to have to wait just that little bit longer for their second. The defence just proving too strong by Heidelberg. This is a matchup which sees the best-ranked defence of Alamein taking on the best-ranked offence of Heidelberg. And at the moment, seems to be Heidelberg who's having the last laugh right now. Ball going into the pack with Stamatopoulos. Ball slipped up by Lefebvre. Matsuda's fighting Shilton for it. And here's Galea. Couldn't quite connect with her kick on time. Matsuda plays it off to Galea. And Shilton yet again stopping that time. But I believe it was offside. Bugius. Correction, Leohopoulos, my bad. O'Donoghue plays it off to Vlahopoulos. She's a small girl in the engine room, but boy, is she a feisty one. With that never say die attitude she has. Quite the underestimated player at that. Always seems to be overlooked, she is. Could this be a cross here and a chance here for Alamein? And not quite. So they're going to go back to the drawing board here and go for a take 2. But instead choosing to give it up. And it will be Heidelberg's ball yet again. Well, the question was, what can Alamein do to try and pick apart this Heidelberg team? I think they're just as confused at the moment than they were at the start of the game. Everything that they're doing, Heidelberg are reading in absolute perfection. No matter what pass they play, no matter which direction they go to, just seems that there's a Heidelberg player ready in every aspect, in every inch of the ground at the moment. Alamein, they've only won 4 games as well on the road this season. And at the moment, with the way things stand, it looks to be possibly staying at 4 wins on the road. One of the great things that Alamein did last week was that they applied constant pressure against Bulleen, especially in that first majority of the football game, and it's kind of where the second half really let them down, eased up a little bit. Bulleen Lions, they found another gear. They just managed to boot in 3 goals. And at the moment, seems to be the same case here. Kostur going to go out wide to Murphy. And the sun's just starting to creak out through the clouds. Just in that far right distance. So 2 more substitutions coming in here for this one for Alamein. On comes Matilda Laurie. And the other one is Savannah Anastasiopoulos. What can they do? A couple fresh wheels here for Alamein. And here's Bugius. Fun little fact I read as well is that Estelle Bugius and Savannah Anastasiopoulos, they were both asked who their favourite player is. Savannah Anastasiopoulos said Estelle Bugius. Estelle Bugius. She says Savannah Anastasiopoulos. So you can definitely tell they're very good friends. Here's Bronte Peel with a ball and a beautiful save there by Templeman, throwing her body out. And it was Sawa Matsuda there in and around the football, trying to attack on that one. And 2 more substitutions look to be coming on here for Heidelberg United. As we just wait for Miranda Templeman. On will come Heidi Dry, and out will come Cameron Barrerio, and along too with Erin Tarrant. And out will come Isabella Wallhead. Both of those 2 women, their days done and dusted. Heidi Dry, along too with Erin Tarrant. And they come on the conclusion of this one. Quite a lot of rain coming down here at Olympic Village. The gutting is doing a good job on top of the roof, bringing the water back down right behind myself and the cameraman here. Hopefully our stuff doesn't get too bad. Trying to make use of it. Pause in play right now. Once again, glad you could be with us wherever you may be tuning in right around Victoria and right across Australia. As we'll take this chance once again to remind you, next week, Alamein will take on the Essendon Royals next Saturday at 3 p.m. That'll be at Dorothy Laver Reserve. And Heidelberg, they're going to take on Brunswick Juventus at 4:15 p.m. right here at the Olympic Village. However, before Heidelberg can even get and think about next weekend's round of 17, they have a Nike FC Cup semi-final matchup to take handle of first. Kick-off on Wednesday, the 16th of July. They're going to take on Boroondara United. Kick-off at 7:30 p.m. right here at Olympic Village. They would love to solidify themselves a spot in the Nike FC Cup final. We'll have to wait and see if they can. The second semi-final will be against FC Bulleen Lions and South Melbourne. Bulleen, who got the 3-1 victory last week against Alamein. That is the second semi-final. Kickoff will be at the Veneto Club at 7:30 p.m. Both games kicking off at 7:30 p.m. You as a viewer can pick which one you want to tune in. I'm sure both games will be absolute crackers. Action has resumed here at Olympic Village. Bronte Peel managing to fight off Bugius. Galea in pursuit of it, along to Shilton. on that far side. They're going one-on-one. And instead it was Alamein who prevail. Laurie. Back off to Leakopoulos. Bugius now. Just going to cover some yardage here. Mistime kick yet again. It's been the story of this second half for Alamein. A lot of mistime kicks. Not a lot have connected to their teammates. And right there is a prime example of it. Another mistime kick. And Heidelberg just managing to seize the opportunity. And not quite there on that occasion. Murphy, who's got Tarrant for company. Heidelberg will remain in possession with it. Miata plays a nice little through ball off to Galea. And it's Leakopoulos managing to be in the right spot at the right time on that one. Hewden. The collision there they had in the middle of the park. And in the meantime, 4 additional minutes have been added in the conclusion of this one. As we just wait for both of the women in the middle of the pack to get some possible medical attention. 4-1 scoreline for Heidelberg. They have simply, I would like to say they haven't put a foot wrong. However, at the start of the game, it was a little bit questionable. It was Zoe Horton for Alamein who managed to capitalise. They started the game off a little bit shaky. Quite a very slow ball at that. Somehow managing to creep in. And well, ever since then, it's been Heidelberg on max attack. Max Verstappen-esque from Formula One right here. Full on attack mode. Pouncing on their prey and scoring the past 4 consecutive goals. And you can see why they are the top of the table for a reason. Once they get punched and once they get knocked, they just come back at you even harder. Stamatopoulos clears it off to Shulton in the back third. Gonna go forwards on that far side. Alamein are slowly chipping their way up the pitch here. Murphy, who's in a sandwich of Heidelberg players. And it was Miata who clears that one away. Shilton. And another example of some of the passes not connecting here for Alamein. Here's Galea, who's on a foot race with Shilton. And that one yet again going away, and this time it's Jessica Shilton going down. Jessica Shilton, who's played in all 15 games for Alamein so far this year, from New Zealand. Her former club was the Waterside Karori in Wellington, New Zealand. She was actually awarded the Young Player of the Year for them as well. Yet to get a goal in her first debut season in the top flight football competition here in Victoria. Miata with Shilton yet again. And Tarrant managing to keep it alive for Heidelberg. Matsuda. Lost that one on that attempt. And here come Alamein. And Heidelberg yet again somehow managing to re-find possession of the football. Miyata in the engine room. He's been phenomenal so far this season. Linked up on several occasions with Sawa Matsuda, who's provided her with so many goals. Could be part of the success for those 17, but that will be full time. Heidelberg, somber to start off the afternoon. The tribute for Keley Lockhart was touching, and the win is even sweeter. And you just know that Keley Lockhart is looking down proud on this side right now with a victory that they just got. Heidelberg will walk away yet again with 3 points to their name. They will go 41 points in their season, 13 wins they'll go to, and yet again winning another game at home. And now their attention will focus to Wednesday night, where they take on Bundoora United in the Nike FC Cup semi-final, where they will look to try and punch their ticket to the final in that one. But at the end of a very emotional day here, it is Heidelberg United who get the win, 4 to Alamein 1. From myself, Stefan Georgic, and from the entire crew here, it is so long. And once again, rest in peace to the late, great Keley Lockhart.